What if I told you that half of all men over 40 quietly struggle with something they almost never admit out loud? It's the kind of secret that hides behind polite smiles at dinner parties, the kind that gnaws away in the silence of the bedroom, the kind that makes a man feel older than the date on his driver's license. And as the years tick towards 60, the numbers climb even higher, but the conversations don't. Most men keep it locked away, convinced it's their own private failure. They scroll through late-night ads, flirt with quick fixes that mask symptoms, or they simply swallow their frustration along with the shame that comes with it. But here's the truth. It isn't a moral weakness, it isn't a lack of manhood, and it isn't something you're doomed to accept without a fight. I'm Dr. Nancy Lynn Snyderman, and I've spent my career talking with men who carry this invisible burden. What I've seen over and over again is that they aren't broken. Their bodies are trying to tell them something. The silence around these struggles isn't protecting them. It's starving them of answers that could restore not only their strength, but their confidence in who they are. Imagine what changes if, instead of hiding, you begin to understand how your body truly works, how your hormones, your circulation, your nervous system, even your sleep are not separate silos, but a single woven fabric. Tear one thread and the whole cloth weakens, but strengthen the foundation, and everything else has a chance to flourish again. Think of it like a garden. Most people, when they see a wilting plant, rush to water the leaves. They spray, they sprinkle, they hope the green returns. But the real solution is always in the soil. When the ground is rich, alive, and cared for, the plants don't just survive, they thrive. Your body works the same way. The sleepless nights, the fading energy, the weaker performance, they're the wilting leaves. But the soil underneath, the rhythms of your hormones, the repair work that happens at night, the health of your blood vessels, those are what truly need your care. And here's where it gets fascinating. Modern research has revealed that timing matters, that the body isn't just about what you give it, but when. A single nutrient absorbed at the right moment in the quiet of the evening can tip the balance. Not a miracle drug, not a too-good-to-be-true promise, but a natural ally that works with your biology instead of against it. Something simple enough to weave into your nightly routine, yet powerful enough to support deeper sleep, steadier hormones, and a return of the energy you thought was gone for good. I've seen men light up when they realize they aren't doomed, that their story doesn't have to be about decline, but about rediscovery. And you deserve that same clarity. You deserve to know that what you're going through is not unusual, not shameful, and not permanent. You deserve to walk into the night, knowing your body has the tools to repair itself, not limp into bed, hoping tomorrow feels less exhausting. So let me ask you this: if a simple shift in how you treat your nights could change how you feel in your days, would you want to know more? Because the path out of this quiet struggle doesn't begin in the pharmacy aisle or with another sleepless sigh. It begins with understanding the hidden link between your sleep and your strength. And that's exactly where we're about to go. It always starts quietly, almost unnoticed at first, like a small crack in the foundation of a house. You tell yourself it's nothing, just age, just stress, just a few restless nights. But as time passes, those cracks spread until the entire structure feels shaky. By the time most men reach their 60s, they are not facing one single problem, but a triangle of challenges that feed off each other. The first is something every man has heard about, but few truly understand: the natural decline of testosterone. This isn't just about sex drive or performance. It's about energy, motivation, recovery, even how sharp your mind feels when you wake in the morning. Without that steady current of testosterone, life feels like it's running on half power. Then there's sleep, or more accurately, the loss of it. You might close your eyes, but the deep, restorative sleep that once came easily becomes harder to reach. Nighttime interruptions, whether it's restless legs, trips to the bathroom, or simply lying awake staring at the ceiling, rob the body of the very hours it needs to repair itself. Imagine trying to recharge your phone on a faulty outlet. The screen says it's charging, but the power cuts off every few minutes. By morning, the battery is still low. That's exactly what happens inside a man's body when sleep is shallow and broken. The repair crews never get their full shift, and the system never truly recovers. The third challenge is the slow, creeping change in circulation. Blood flow is the foundation of vitality, the lifeline of every organ, including the one most men are afraid to talk about. But with age, and especially in the presence of conditions like diabetes, high blood pressure, or an enlarged prostate, that circulation weakens. The vessels stiffen, the signals misfire, and what once was effortless becomes a struggle. And here is the cruel twist. Each of these three problems hormones sleep. Circulation doesn't just exist on its own. They form a cycle, a feedback loop, that drags a man down little by little. Poor sleep lowers testosterone. Low testosterone dulls desire and energy. Struggles in performance chip away at confidence, which feeds stress, and stress raises cortisol, which further disrupts sleep. Around and around it goes, until what began as a whisper has become a shout. I've listened to countless men describe the weight of this cycle, the way it makes them feel like they're aging twice as fast as the calendar suggests. And what makes it so devastating is not only the physical toll, but the silence that surrounds it. Men don't sit down at a bar and confess, "I didn't sleep last night, and now my energy is gone." They don't tell their friends, "I'm worried about my circulation. I'm worried about my strength." They keep it inside, convinced it's their private failure, when in truth, it is biology working against them. The image I often use is a traffic jam. Testosterone is the fuel in the car. Sleep is the engine's chance to cool and refuel, and circulation is the highway itself. If any one of those pieces falters, you might still get where you're going, but slowly, painfully, with constant breakdowns. But when all three falter at once, the cars pile up, the highway clogs, and nothing moves. That's what so many men are living through day after day, night after night. And yet, here's the part most don't realize: cycles by their very nature can be interrupted. What feels like an endless loop of decline can be broken when you understand where to step in. That's why identifying these three forces, the decline of testosterone, the erosion of sleep, the weakening of circulation, is so important. Because once you see them not as separate frustrations, but as pieces of the same puzzle, you also begin to see where the puzzle can be rearranged. So if you've ever felt that your energy is slipping away faster than it should, if you've ever stared at the ceiling at 2 a.m, wondering why you can't stay asleep, if you've ever carried the quiet embarrassment of not feeling as strong as you used to know this, you are not imagining it, and you are not alone. You are caught in the same cycle that millions of men over 60 face. But cycles can be broken. And the surprising truth is the key to breaking it doesn't come from doing more during the day. It comes from what happens at night. And that is exactly where we turn next. Most men are stunned when they finally learn that the hormone they associate with youth, vitality, and masculinity is not just about desire or performance, it's the body's night shift repair crew. Testosterone isn't simply floating around to drive libido. It's busy patching the roads, rebuilding muscle fibers, resetting energy systems, and restoring mental clarity. And here's the catch: this crew only clocks in when you sink into deep, restorative sleep. The rhythm is precise, almost sacred. During those first few hours of uninterrupted rest, testosterone surges in pulses, rising to its highest peaks. It's as if your body schedules its most critical maintenance under the cover of darkness, expecting silence, stillness, and time. But what happens when that silence is broken? Picture a construction crew sent out to rebuild a damaged bridge in the middle of the night. Every time they lay down new steel, a car rumbles through, or the lights flicker off, and they're forced to stop. The project drags on, the bridge remains unstable, and the repairs never truly finish. That's what shallow or fragmented sleep does. Your body sets the stage for repair, but every interruption, every midnight, trip to the bathroom, every restless leg, every jolt awake from stress cuts the process short. Testosterone is left half restored, like a battery plugged into a faulty outlet, blinking between charging and not charging until morning comes with the gauge still stuck at half full. The science is even harsher than the analogy. At the University of Chicago, researchers discovered that just 1 week of restricted sleep, 5 hours a night, was enough to slash testosterone levels in young, otherwise healthy men by nearly 15%. To put that in perspective, it's the hormonal equivalent of aging 10 to 15 years in the span of 7 days. That means even if you're careful about what you eat, even if you push yourself in the gym, a single week of poor sleep can erase years of effort and discipline. And if that's true for men in their 20s, imagine the fragility of the system when you're 60, when natural declines are already in play. As if that weren't enough, there's a second villain creeping in through the back door: cortisol. Known as the stress hormone, cortisol is supposed to rise in the morning to help you wake up, then taper off at night to let you rest. But when your sleep is broken, the pattern flips. Cortisol stays high at the very moment you need it low, and cortisol doesn't just block sleep. It directly suppresses testosterone production at the source, the testes. That means poor sleep hits you twice: first, by robbing you of the hours when testosterone is renewed, and second, by unleashing a hormone that actively strangles its production. It's a 1-2 punch that leaves men drained, irritable, and frustrated, wondering why willpower alone can't bring their strength back. I've had patients tell me, "I thought I was just tired, but it felt like my body was betraying me." The truth is, their bodies weren't betraying them. Their rhythms were. Biology is strict about timing, and testosterone is tied to the rhythm of sleep, like the tide to the moon. Miss the tide and the harbour stays dry. Miss the window of deep sleep, and your hormone levels slip further and further from balance. And the effects ripple far beyond the bedroom. Testosterone is tied to mood, confidence, metabolism, even cardiovascular health. When levels are low, men often describe not just physical weakness, but a fog over their minds, a heaviness in their spirits. The frustration of poor performance is compounded by the creeping suspicion that they're fading faster than they should. It becomes not just a physical struggle, but a deeply emotional one. But here's the part that changes everything. This downward spiral isn't locked. It isn't inevitable. It isn't something you have to shrug at and say, "That's just getting old." The body is built to repair itself if you give it the right conditions. And the very first condition, the foundation of all others, is quality sleep. If you can guard those hours, if you can protect that deep stage when the repair crew does its work, you give your body the chance to restore testosterone naturally without gimmicks or shortcuts. So the question becomes, how do you safeguard that sacred window of deep rest when the odds seem stacked against you? How do you quiet the cortisol, calm the nerves, and let your biology work as it was designed to? The answer isn't about chasing perfection during the day. It's about making smart, targeted choices at night. Choices that align with your body's rhythms instead of fighting them. And that is where our journey takes a surprising turn towards something many people dismiss as ordinary, but which science now shows can be extraordinary: melatonin. Most people hear the word melatonin and immediately picture a tiny pill tucked into a pharmacy shelf, something you grab on a restless night to help you drift off a little faster. But that narrow view misses the truth entirely. Melatonin isn't a sleep crutch. It's a hormone made in your pineal gland in direct response to darkness, a signal written into your biology since the beginning of human existence. And for men crossing into their 60s, it is far more than a gentle nudge toward drowsiness. It's a guardian of rhythm, a quiet protector of blood vessels, and a subtle partner in the very system that governs strength and virility. Think of it this way every night. When the lights fade and your environment softens into quiet, your body begins to produce melatonin. It's like the conductor of an orchestra raising the baton to cue the night's symphony. One section handles sleep, coaxing your brain into the deep restorative stages you need. Another section works on your vascular system, shielding the delicate lining of your blood vessels from oxidative stress. And yet another reaches toward your reproductive system, nudging testosterone regulation, protecting fragile tissues, and setting the stage for nitric oxide release. The tiny molecule that acts like a green traffic light, signaling blood to flow freely when arousal calls. Without melatonin's guidance, the orchestra falters. The instruments come in late, the music loses its timing, and the performance stumbles. What makes this more urgent is that melatonin levels naturally fall with age. By the time you reach 60, your output may be half of what it once was. That means the very hormone designed to synchronize your sleep, protect your vessels, and keep the traffic lights of nitric oxide glowing green is running on fumes. And when the signals weaken, the consequences ripple out in ways men rarely connect. A poor night's sleep leads to lower testosterone. Weaker testosterone means less energy and poorer circulation. Poor circulation compounds performance struggles. Suddenly, the cycle from earlier becomes even harder to break. But melatonin steps into that loop like a lever. By restoring the rhythm of night, it does more than help you fall asleep. It makes sleep work again. It guards the fragile window of deep rest, the hours when testosterone surges and your body does its heavy repair. It helps protect the endothelium, that inner lining of your blood vessels, where nitric oxide is born. And nitric oxide, of course, is the spark for every erection. Without it, no amount of desire can move blood where it needs to go. Imagine a traffic intersection at midnight, the light stuck on red, every car idling with nowhere to move. That's what happens when nitric oxide signaling falters. Melatonin, by protecting the lining, keeps the green light working, so the flow begins when it should. There's more. Emerging research hints that melatonin might even have protective effects on the prostate, reducing inflammation and easing the urinary symptoms that so often disrupt sleep in older men. While the science is still unfolding, the direction is clear. Melatonin is not just about sleepiness, it is about balance, protection, and restoration. So what does this mean in practice? It doesn't mean swallowing a handful of capsules and hoping for the best. With melatonin, more is not better. In fact, higher doses can backfire, leaving you groggy or disrupting the very architecture of sleep you're trying to protect. The key is subtlety. Think of melatonin less as a hammer and more as a whisper, a gentle reminder to your body that night has come. For some men, as little as 1 to 3 milligrams taken 30 to 60 minutes before bed is enough. But even before reaching for a supplement, there are ways to coax your own melatonin back into flow. Dim the lights in the evening, set the phone aside an hour before bed. Let darkness tell your biology what the clock already knows. I've watched men make these small shifts, lowering the brightness in their homes, stepping away from glowing screens, adding a careful dose of melatonin with their doctor's approval. And I've seen the results ripple through their lives. Nights that were once fractured become whole. Mornings feel less like a battle and more like a beginning. Confidence begins to return, not because of a magic pill, but because their biology is finally working with them instead of against them. And here's the beauty: melatonin is only the first piece. It sets the stage, resets the rhythm, steadies the orchestra. But the performance of health needs more than one instrument. There are other nutrients often overlooked that play just as critical a role in keeping hormones, steady vessels strong, and energy renewed. One in particular has long been known as the sunshine vitamin, yet for men over 60, it behaves less like a vitamin and more like a hormone itself. And when timed properly, it can deepen the transformation that melatonin begins. That nutrient is vitamin D. If melatonin is the conductor that sets the rhythm of the night, then vitamin D is the sunlight that feeds the soil of the body. Most people think of it in one narrow way: bones, calcium, the vitamin you get from the sun. But that's only the surface. For men in their 60s, vitamin D acts more like a hormone than a simple nutrient. It touches testosterone production, influences circulation, steadies the immune system, and even shifts mood. It is a hidden foundation, one that when weakened makes the whole structure of health wobble. Imagine walking through a garden where the soil looks dry and cracked. No matter how good the seeds are, no matter how carefully they're planted, nothing thrives. That's what happens when vitamin D is low. The hormones falter, the vessels stiffen, the energy drops. Men feel older, not because the years alone demand it, but because the soil underneath their biology has gone barren. And here's the startling truth: many men, even those who spend time outdoors, are deficient without realizing it. By the time blood work reveals the shortage, fatigue, irritability, or diminished desire have already settled in like unwelcome houseguests. The link to testosterone is striking. Studies have shown that men with adequate vitamin D levels consistently have higher testosterone compared to those who are deficient. It isn't just correlation. Vitamin D plays a role in how the testes function, how hormones are signaled, how the body maintains equilibrium. A man low in vitamin D may feel like his drive has slipped away, but what has really slipped is the foundation that supports the hormone itself. And because testosterone affects more than sex, because it governs energy, muscle recovery, and mood, the deficiency echoes through nearly every corner of life. Then there is circulation, the often overlooked pillar of male vitality. The endothelium, the delicate lining of blood vessels, is where nitric oxide is produced. Nitric oxide is the body's natural messenger, the chemical that says, "Open the gates, let the blood flow." Without it, performance stumbles, no matter how strong the desire. Vitamin D strengthens this lining, making it more responsive, more resilient, more able to release nitric oxide when needed. Men who are deficient often find their vessels less cooperative, the flow less reliable, and the frustration builds quietly until it shadows their confidence. And mood, this is where vitamin D's influence surprises most. Low levels are linked to irritability, fatigue, even depression. The fog that so many men describe isn't just in their heads, it's biological. Depression and low testosterone overlap, each amplifying the other, and vitamin D stands at the crossroads. By restoring levels, men often report not just better energy, but a lighter spirit, a brighter outlook. The shift can be subtle at first, a little more patience, a little less heaviness in the mornings, but over time it can change the way a man moves through his days. Timing, though, is everything. Vitamin D is fat-soluble, which means the body absorbs it best with meals containing healthy fats, olive oil, salmon, avocado. Many doctors suggest taking it in the morning to mimic the sun, but research has begun to show that for men who struggle with sleep, evening supplementation may actually help reset circadian rhythms. It's as if vitamin D taken with the evening meal whispers to the body, the clock is steady. The systems are aligned, now prepare to repair. This doesn't mean swallowing massive doses, just the right amount, guided by a simple blood test called 25-hydroxyvitamin D. And the shock many men feel when they see their results, levels half of where they should be, sometimes lower, is sobering. But it is also empowering, because it means there is a clear step forward. I've sat with men who thought their best years were behind them, only to discover that their exhaustion, their irritability, their fading strength were not irreversible. They were signs of deficiency. With the right dose carefully tailored, they began to feel a shift. Their sleep grew deeper, their mornings clearer. Their moods steadied, their energy returned. They weren't reversing time. They were simply giving their bodies back the missing ingredient that had been gone for too long. It's easy to overlook because vitamin D is invisible. You don't feel its presence the way you feel caffeine or sugar. It doesn't shout, it sustains. But when it is absent, everything wobbles. And when it is restored, everything else from testosterone to circulation to mood has the chance to flourish. So as melatonin sets the rhythm of the night, vitamin D nourishes the ground on which that rhythm plays. Together, they begin to untangle the cycle of decline, offering sleep that repairs hormones, that stabilize vessels that open, and a spirit that feels lighter. But there is still another piece missing, a mineral often called the relaxation nutrient, one that calms the nervous system, lowers the stress hormone cortisol, and opens the vessels so nitric oxide can do its work. It is the oil that keeps the gears from grinding, the quiet force that allows the entire system to run smoothly. And that mineral is magnesium. If melatonin is the conductor, and vitamin D is the nourishing sunlight, then magnesium is the oil that keeps the gears from grinding. It is the quiet mineral, the one most people don't think about until it's gone, and yet it plays a role in over 300 processes inside the body. For men past 60, it may be the most underestimated ally of all. Without enough of it, nerves misfire, muscles tighten, stress hormones rise, and blood vessels lose their ability to relax. The result is a body that feels restless at night, tense by day, and increasingly uncooperative when it comes to performance. Picture an old machine that hasn't been maintained. The gears still turn, but every movement is stiff, noisy, inefficient. Sparks fly where there should be smooth motion. That's what a magnesium deficiency feels like on the inside. Muscles ache, sleep becomes shallow, and even when exhaustion sets in, the body refuses to fully let go. Cortisol stays elevated, gnawing at testosterone production, feeding anxiety, and making the heart race at the very moment it should be settling into rest. Many older men live inside that constant hum of tension, never realizing the missing piece is something as simple as magnesium. And here's the cruel trick: aging itself makes it harder to absorb. Even if you eat the right foods, leafy greens, nuts, seeds, whole grains, your intestines don't take in as much as they once did. On top of that, common medications like diuretics and acid blockers quietly drain magnesium from the system. No wonder nearly half of older adults are deficient. They walk around tired, irritable, and tense, blaming the years when in truth their bodies are just short on fuel. The connection to sleep is profound. Magnesium binds to calming receptors in the brain, settling the nervous system and allowing the body to sink into deeper stages of rest. It tamps down cortisol, letting melatonin's rhythm take hold. It relaxes muscles, quiets restless legs, eases the kind of subtle agitation that keeps men tossing and turning. When magnesium levels are adequate, the night feels different, less like a battle to fall asleep, more like a slow descent into genuine restoration. And with that restoration comes what we've been chasing all along: the return of testosterone's nightly surge, the body's repair crew finally allowed to finish its shift. Circulation, too, depends on magnesium. Erections are vascular events. They require blood vessels to relax so nitric oxide can send its signal. Without magnesium, the vessels stay constricted, the smooth muscle refuses to yield, and the green light of nitric oxide never fully switches on. Imagine trying to inflate a balloon while someone pinches the opening shut. No matter how hard you blow, the air won't flow. But with magnesium in place, the pinch is released, the vessels open, and the flow becomes possible again. This is why magnesium is often called the relaxation mineral. It doesn't just quiet the mind, it loosens the body, softens the tension in blood vessels, and sets the stage for everything else to function as intended. For men over 60, when every system is under pressure, hormones slipping, sleep, fracturing circulation, stiffening magnesium becomes the lubricant that allows the system to move smoothly again. Practical steps are straightforward. Dark leafy greens, pumpkin seeds, almonds, whole grains, they all provide magnesium. But diet alone often isn't enough. Supplements can help, but the form matters. Magnesium glycinate and citrate are well absorbed, gentle on the stomach, and especially suited for evening use. Taken about an hour before bed, sometimes with a cup of warm herbal tea, magnesium signals to the body that the day is done. The tension can ease, the night can be trusted. Men who adopt this simple ritual often report not just falling asleep faster, but waking less during the night and rising with a steadier kind of energy in the morning. Now imagine all three pieces together. Melatonin resetting the rhythm and protecting the vascular lining. Vitamin D nourishing the soil of hormones, circulation, and mood. Magnesium loosening the gears, calming the stress response, and deepening sleep. Taken as part of an intentional nightly ritual, they create a symphony of repair. The lights dim, the body listens, and for the first time in years, the repair crews are given everything they need to restore strength. This is why I tell men not to see aging as inevitable decline, but as a call to intentionality. Your body is not failing you, it is asking for help. Give it the tools, and it will still respond. Every night is a chance to choose: will you leave the repair crews under-equipped, scrambling with broken tools, or will you hand them exactly what they need and step aside as they rebuild? The cycle of decline that once felt unbreakable, poor sleep low, testosterone weak circulation can be interrupted. It doesn't require expensive prescriptions or dramatic interventions. It requires understanding consistency and the willingness to honor the body's natural rhythms. One small choice each evening, a dimmed light, a nutrient at the right time. A habit of care becomes the lever that shifts the entire cycle. And when men begin to feel it, the change is unmistakable. Nights grow quieter, mornings stronger, confidence steadier. They don't feel 20 again, but they feel alive, present, capable. They discover that vitality isn't about chasing youth, it's about restoring balance. And balance, as it turns out, is built in the quiet hours of the night, with tools as simple and powerful as melatonin, vitamin D, and magnesium. Thank you so much for staying with me until the very end of this video. I hope the insights we shared tonight gave you clarity, encouragement, and a few practical steps you can start using right away. If this content was valuable to you, please give it a thumbs up, share it with someone who might need it, and leave a comment below with your thoughts or experiences. I'd love to hear from you. And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss the next conversation.